apologize for that delay. And then we will talk about some promulgating regulations, again, part of our learning curve, and also somewhat of a list that we've been building over the previous months that we need to touch base on and then figure out how to move forward with those items. So with that, I think between those of us here present in the room as well as online, we have a quorum, I think.
We do. We have
Yes.
7. If Sam shows up.
Well, Sam is here,
He's here
but he's just not visible.
in the room.
Oh.
Maybe he's under his desk.
So with that, the commission chair can request approval of the April minutes.
Can I, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, any changes? All in favor of approving the April minutes?
All right.
Minutes are approved.
And then with that, we will move on to the chair's report.
Okay. Well, congratulations, everybody.
I just want to make sure, can you all hear us? Who are,
Yes.
Okay.
okay. There's been a lot of silence. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Well, congratulations to everyone. We made it through our first election. And I think it went pretty smooth considering this was, when we consider that we didn't have a quorum until January and we never had a chance to come up with, to promulgate regulations or really think through and add, or I think we did pretty well.
Yes.
And I think the couple of curveballs that we responded to, having a candidate drop out and having a possibility of a recount, I think that we all responded pretty well to those things. As you all know, well, of the 4 candidates that qualified, we had one winner, that was Zach Blanchard, who narrowly won. I think he will move on to the general election. And I think that seeing this, I think what you could call a long shot candidate who used public financing, who maxed out with us at $125,000 and took out a very well-funded incumbent, I think bodes well for the program. I think looking ahead 4 years, that there will be quite a few people that want to participate. And also in 4 years, we'll be facing term limits. Our first elections where term limits have kicked in. So it's buckle up. We have a lot of work between now and then to get ready for that election. But at least we've seen what could go wrong and where there's gaps that we can address. So I want to say that congratulations. We now move into the second phase, which is the collection of unspent funds. So there are 3 candidates that we'd be looking to collect unspent funds from. They have 30 days from the certification. So it was certified on May
28.
28th.
Charlie. Charlie.
Yes,
Can someone meet me at the back door?
yes. Thank you. Paris is coming.
Take a brief pause. Use your form to gain a form again.
So Nadine, prior to the election, Nadine sent a letter to all of the candidates, or an email to all of the candidates, reminding them that they had 30 days to provide an accounting and to remit any unspent funds. Um, there's nothing in the law now that requires us or even allows us to do an audit of their accounting. It will be, kind of move the one next to Jones. Hey, Tipper.
Yep. All in.
To do, I think I left off as an audit of the campaigns. That I think is gonna be done by the state. I believe the state does an audit.
They
Yeah.
do not. I was informed that the state, I should take that back. Yes and no. They audit for their own purposes,
Okay,
but with respect to the commission, the Department of Finance will do an audit.
okay,
And after speaking with the Deputy Director of Finance, we will need to consult, I think, with the Budget Department
okay,
as to whether or not we seek outside assistance with the
Okay,
audit as well.
okay.
But I know I'm pretty sure I will be looking at doing a soft audit with respect to
Okay.
collecting all the documents from the candidates and comparing those
Mhm.
disbursements to what was actually dispersed in Workday.
okay,
That'll be the first step.
One thing, the good news there is that it's sort of audited as you go. I mean,
Right.
There's 3 steps to verify the information.
right.
So hopefully we'll do that painful. Time consuming for sure. But just go back, question, you said it's
Yeah.
not required. So this is in
It's-
either statute or state or local statute.
Right, so if it's something that we want to do, well, it might be required of the finance department because they are spending,
Yeah.
so the city requires it, but if it's something that the commission wants to do, then we have to come up with regulations that say, you know, what it looks like and what exactly will be audited. We got clarification also that the candidates will have to close their account, except for, unless they're gonna be on the November ballot. So there's no hanky-panky, their money's still trickling in and it's not being accounted for. There was the issue of the candidate that withdrew. And he also, Vignaraja, he got a letter stating that he couldn't spend any additional money. So I think that is one account that we really need to audit. Because from that moment that he dropped out, that he should not have had to be expending money. And that if it's something that he had a debt and hadn't paid yet, then I think that that's just something that we need to look at. But there should be significant money coming back into the fund from that account, I would estimate.
I think that's true. And that variance that you're seeing right now, I think you were aware that on May 1, when he made that public announcement, he had a bank balance of $500 some odd dollars. 500,000 some odd dollars in his cash balance. His last report submitted on 5/3, and that was the last report due to the state of Maryland prior to the primary. That these numbers are being drawn from is now to basically 299.
Okay,
So that is one we need to look at. The other candidate, Stephen Johnson, has failed consistently and does have a fine pending where he has not submitted his disbursements actually received from the city in MD Chris. So his
Okay.
account currently looks as a 5/3 in the negative,
okay,
and he's not responding. So I will have to follow it up. And with that being said, in my agenda, I said I would send a third reminder by the 28th,
Mhm.
since that's the deadline.
Mhm.
But my deputy informed me today that I am to send them routinely every week now
Okay,
until
Sure.
we see some
Okay.
funds returned.
okay,
So I did send another one this afternoon, and I think I CC'd you on one of them so that you knew, but all candidates did receive another one as of today.
okay,
Are we sending those like registered so that?
They're going directly to the same campaign email as it is reported in MD Chris, so everybody knows.
Question,
Yes,
because I know we're inaugural and a lot of things haven't been all the way on to find out yet with flying the plane by building it.
that's true.
When it comes to recovery such as this instance, what is the follow-up? Is it just sending requests for money to be sent back, or
Right
is there
now,
any type of?
one of those letters, if there are two letters. One is the accounting that Workday shows, that MD Chris shows of the disbursement monies that were received by the campaign. Those reports from MD Chris also is a log of reported expenses from the campaign.
Mhm.
And then the reflected, as they report the bank balance on that report due date. Then at 30 days after, when I ask for those reports, that's the second letter that they receive. I reiterate what the total is that they've received from the city in this period, and that they have 30 days after the primary to return any unspent funds. What will happen after the 30 days, and I have not received any funds, I will consult with the law department and see what recourse we should take in terms of language. I know I can continue to communicate with the candidate and the campaign, but what the language should be.
Okay, I was just making sure we already had that, well, we had something in place for the adult stuff.
Yes, when I spoke with my director this morning, because it will be a thing if the funds are not.
Like, it will be a thing.
that is the legal language. It'll be a thing.
It will be a thing.
I'm just making sure,
Yes.
lost stones with four times and everything.
I testified nervously in budget hearings the week before last for the Department of Finance, and this program did come up.
And that was a good thing.
It was a good thing. And so my deputy and myself gave an overview of the program, how much money to date had been dispersed, estimating how much we anticipate getting returned, and when those funds should begin to come back to the city. And that was their biggest concern.
Okay,
Okay, fine. If they were successful as far as we're concerned, but we want to go through the unspent funds.
okay. Thank you. Now this, the 250,000 for Sneed, that is what, that was the balance as of May 3rd.
5/3.
Okay. Okay, just wanted to verify. And you guys have these numbers in it was provided in the agenda. Going on to point B, the primary election, Zach Blanchard's campaign had reached out to us immediately after the election when they realized that it was going to be within 1%, about what was the process for recount. Our law is silent on recounts. I was able to join a call. Thank you. Thank you, Nadine, for fighting for me to be part of this conversation, with the assistant attorney generals that represent the Board of Elections, the Baltimore Board of Elections, and the state Board of Elections.
Yes.
And they were incredibly helpful, and I am excited that we have them as a resource, because they were clear that where our law is silent, the state law steps in. And napkins. And so, which said that But there's still gray areas that we'll have to build regulations around, because the question was, the law is very clear that if for a recount, a candidate has to establish a special recount bank account. The question is whether people who have already contributed can contribute to this other account, because the law just says that they can contribute but have to stay, but are confined to the rules of the Baltimore City law, which is sort of vague, because does that mean if I maxed out at 150 in the Baltimore City law, I can't contribute? Or does it mean that I can contribute, but I can only contribute 150? So I think we have to make regulations based on that. Or actually, is this what just today, hot off the presses? Do the folks online have this?
I saw it just as
Okay.
Heading out, so I printed it.
Okay. So we got a response from the law department. Hillary Ruley, who is the new Jeff.
I'm sorry, they have the questions, not the answers.
Oh, okay. The Hillary Ruley is the new Jeff. She's the chief solicitor. Chief solicitor. And okay. And it says, well, we're going to send this out to them, right?
Yes.
But basically it says an eligible contribution of more than 150. Allowed donors are the prior donors required. Are the prior donors to the participating candidate fund disqualified from additional contributions? And what is the summary here?
The very, very bottom basically says, right before the next question is that
No,
basically you can't take more money if they've maxed out.
you cannot take more money.
No, that they only the total amount of money donated is relevant. So an
Okay,
individual who's contributed
150.
cannot contribute anymore.
So 150 is the max, whether you are contributing to the recount fund, or if you are contributing to the campaign.
Is that so?
But the thing was is that after the election was certified, they weren't allowed to use campaign funds anymore. So
Right.
up until the election was certified, so.
Although Zach can, if he has a competitive general. But he can't use it for the purpose of, he
couldn't use it for the purpose of a recount,
Because
right?
there's no recount needed, it's been certified.
So the last question they didn't answer
What if
was,
there was a recount in the general?
then
Would he have to establish
Yes, and.
a recount account.
And then he
Yeah.
would still
a
not be
separate,
able
an
to-
additional recount?
Yep.
Yeah, he would still not be able to access money more than
$150.
So my question is that explicit in state law?
No,
So we can.
this is interpretation.
This is right. So,
So,
because my reaction was, and also another way to incentivize people to participate is if you're in the program, you don't have to pay for a recount.
the state law says if it's greater than 0.025%, then you have to flip the bill.
Though the city could potentially write saying that the city will
Yes,
cover
we
that
could,
cost.
we could write,
Because
yes.
it seems silly for
Yeah.
us to collect, I mean, obviously, only some of that money is city money.
Yeah.
Commingled in the account, but it seems counter to the intent of the program.
So without going too far into
Yeah.
it, we know that there's this issue around
Yeah.
recounts, and we are going to have to create new rules or amend the law if we feel it should be different than the interpretation. And I will say, Hillary is a very toe the line conservative. She has a very conservative take on the law, which I'm not a lawyer, but my job is to press, toe the line and go as close to the line as I can.
Moved a lot through legislation.
Right. Yes, it's like we moved the line. And I think that we could do that, but we're going to talk more about regulations later.
And did the conversation of in-kind contributions come up? Because just with needing or wanting legal representation at anything that's happening.
So it did not come up.
150.
It did not come up, but that's a very good question because our rules say that you can accept in-kind contributions. They are just not matchable,
But up to
Right.
150.
but up to 150.
And
Right.
And for the, if 150 is the max, then that would carry over also to a recount fund. So you could probably have lots of law students individually, but even then, yeah, I think fortunately we didn't need a recount because there apparently is a way for the candidates to look at the ballots themselves and decide whether or not there are enough discrepancies that they want to pay for a recount.
I have unfortunate firsthand experience in this, having lost by 0.01%. So
Oh, ouch.
6 votes.
I'd rather
So in my
I'd
opinion,
rather
that
lose by
won a
10
landslide.
points.
But
I'd
anyway,
ra- I'd
yeah.
rather lose by
Oh,
10
yeah,
points than
yeah.
0.01. Okay, so that is it for, I think,
Yeah.
Do we know
That
how
shares
much a
with it.
recount costs? Like, what's the cost? Or
it
does
can vary. It depends on how close it is. Say that again, Tracy?
I was just wondering if it had something to do with kind of the number of ballots cast, like if with city council, you have different numbers of ballots you're looking at
Yes.
versus a citywide election.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and it's, I mean, and the other element, so there's what they would have to pay to the city for the personnel costs, and then their lawyers, which would vary based on the lawyers they have. Right.
Yep. So I guess it costs enough that Eric Costello did not want to pay for it. So I'm going to pass it on to John and Nadine.
Yeah, sorry, I was just reading. Yeah, so, are we good? Which one of the agenda here?
Oh, one last thing that I do want, we're going to talk about regulations later, but I did have a conversation with Councilman Burnett, who was the original sponsor of the bill. He did not run for reelection, but he is committed to the program and wants to work with us on any changes to legislation that we want to make. So he just asked that we come up with what those are, and we can schedule sometime either in the fall or over the summer if folks want to work on it, to meet with him and talk about some of the changes that we want to make.
Sure, that's great.
It's a good segue. Take it. John.
Yeah, great. So, so our key things are there's still 3 of us that aren't here, haven't been nominated. So it appears based on this, the information that the mayor is, and I thought they were the president's nominees.
They, Mr. Taylor, had me go through and send her, the BOE swearing in,
Right,
the recommendation for that nominee.
okay,
And according to what is, based on what I submitted to him from the BOE hearing,
okay,
each one came from city council. He says that the last 3 remaining candidates or nominees are those that would be brought forward by the mayor.
excellent, okay.
So that's what, so city council's done, and would be specific to the backgrounds that the code speaks to,
Okay.
representing the business community and.
Okay.
And so with that, I met with him through a Teams meeting on Monday. And he asked that I bring it to the commission to let everybody know that they're interested in your feedback, recommendations, and we can forward them to the mayor's office.
And how do folks feel about putting something on the website, inviting people to submit their interest?
In fact, he said that's fine too. I spoke with him earlier today
Okay.
about language. If we wanted to bring something forth, we can just, he said we could just say, hey, we're looking for members. And so.
That'd be great, yeah, just a place that they can go either, I don't know if there's a, just click a link to send an email, I guess that would go to you and then you can share it with us. Yeah, that'd be great, okay. Anything else on our remaining three? And,
I think it would be helpful to know what the remaining criteria are.
So what that
backgrounds
is,
we're
we're
talking about.
Mhm.
Representative backgrounds. And then relative to terms, my understanding is we are staggered, right? So some of us, even though we're all appointed during this stage, that some of us are done at the end of this election cycle and some of us are done 2 years hence.
Well, I think we need to clarify that.
Yeah.
Carol and I were talking about that,
Right.
but even though legislation was signed in at some point, we all sort of started at the same time. So in other words, what is the start date
Right.
of each term?
And how is one designated a 2-year versus a 4-year until?
Well, I think it's the law that says who's designated. I don't have it on
I
me.
got the law.
Thank you. It says,
Which also we should link on the website. too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of resources, but
Okay.
not the legislation itself.
does anyone online know what it says about or have thoughts about the change?
I have it.
Okay.
I just don't know where it is.
Where there is a commission. It's the part where it's in the beginning. It's in the end. We've got it. Barely, it's in the first couple of pages. Okay, while Parrish looks that up. Because I'm
And I'm
sure
sorry, looking up.
it's,
Terms.
yeah, it starts with, the section starts with, there is a commission. Fund commission. Fair Election Fund Commission, 11.7. The commission, staff provided, duties of commission.
Why don't we move on and I'll
Okay.
keep just looking.
We do know that, okay, so,
Budget is the next, the
Okay.
next item, so we'll come back to that. So we have this document here that, to the folks,
do the people online have it?
No,
I'm not sure if the
Okay.
link will let them in. It is,
Okay.
it's not live
Okay,
No.
in the document. Oh.
no, it's not live. But
Okay.
so you emailed it to me, but not to. the-
Oh, I was
everybody
wondering if
else.
they pulled up the agenda, if it would let them.
okay.
Okay.
It doesn't pull up.
work.
No.
Okay.
you want to tell them?
Yeah, so we're looking at, and I think we've seen versions of this previously, right? So this is the latest report as of remaining fund balance as of the 16th of May, $862,000. If we account for the two $2 amounts that we know of that are most likely coming back to us, that would be about the roughly, I'm just rounding up, 300,000 from the Big Nausea campaign and 250,000 from the Sneed campaign. That puts us at about 1.4 million. So it's available for the general. And then we do not have sense of how much from the Johnson
We
campaign.
do not.
Yes, the Johnson, just for folks' information, whereas the Johnson campaign received supplements totaling,
53,000.
yeah.
53,705.
Right, so if, assuming he has spent some of that, so it's some number less than that.
And I would say that was Sneed. She's probably spent the bulk of that
Yeah.
250, because if this was from May 3rd,
Yeah.
that last spending. But it will be interesting to see
Much less, yeah.
through.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I don't know if this is the appropriate time, and I know we've received very, so it's clear, but we've received strong guidance from the legal department that there's no other action to be taken, that the amounts that are, that he reports, other than an audit, which will verify whether or not the expenditures came in before that May 1st, is that the date we are able to?
Yes.
Right, so if he, if I guess, April 30, if he had spent some money or committed to spend money, then that's money that will not come back to the public. So that's, again, one of those points I think we have to do some clarification on, consider some clarifying language to add to legislation about what withdrawal means, what are different scenarios related to withdrawal. In this situation, I think the lesson learned, there's specificity and clarity it will be key for that particular area. Those are the numbers. So right now, again, not accounting for the funds that we don't have report from the Johnson campaign, and then expecting that Snead campaign will have some expenses subsequent to the last report that will be covered under the account, appropriate expenditures covered under that account.
So the good news is, well, the bad news is that the mayor did not put in money in the budget to fund this program in 2025. The good news is the amount we were asking for was about $850,000. When we did our earlier calculations, although we didn't actually vote on the recommendation, so it was never sent. Nadine sent it around to us to review again, and we can approve it in this meeting, and still it's not June 30th yet, so we could still send it. But the amount that we were looking for was about $850,000, and every year for the next 4 years to make sure that we had enough money for 2026. And so with the funds that are remaining, we will effectively have the funding that we would have wanted them to add this year. So we're not behind.
Right.
Although Zach Blanchard moves forward, he has maxed out from the fund. And so we won't, unless there's a Green Party candidate, or a write-in, well, no, actually no write-ins are allowed. So that would have to be a Republican or a Green Party candidate, either of which, well, actually, according to the rules that have been established that are written,
Right.
and the interpretation that no one else can qualify for the fund, even for the general, because they would have had to qualify by May 1st or April 30th or
Yeah.
March 30.
Much
So-
sooner than
Per the law department.
that's
So,
their interpretation.
That's that conservative interpretation. I was wrong as well. I thought affiliates and other parties would be able to still certify by 45 days prior to the general. The law department informed Charlie and
Yeah.
myself that per the way our legislation is written, there is no other period, to qualify.
So the only small window is this conversation that we had with the Board of Elections Attorney General and the state BOE, is that they say where our law is silent, then their law steps in.
Right.
Our law is silent on qualifications. So it's because it only focuses on the primary, so there might be the idea that we could create regulations because the state law has another qualifying period
Right.
that is 45 days before the general election.
Mhm.
So, but again, our
Our-
legal
our-
representative is
It's not
very,
applying that
very,
argument.
very strictly looking at the law.
Yeah,
And at no point did she say where Baltimore city law is silent, the state law steps in. At no point did she say that. So,
And then her recommendation is if we are found to be unfair, then we may want to consider.
yeah.
changing.
Yeah, and I think just in general,
It's
again,
unfair.
the spirit of law would indicate that that's, and in Howard County had something very similar in their first go through where
Mhm.
there were, the county misinterpreted,
Oh, right.
misinterpreted, the intent of the law and said, no, that the county didn't have to give money to certain candidates, even though it was clear that they had done what was required, but, yeah, so, that's just another item for us to consider in terms of potential additional legislation or clarification of the legislation. Any questions, comments, on the funding? Did we have any luck going
I
on
can't
that?
find it.
Okay. It's got to be there somewhere.
I'm not seeing anything about, who
Terms.
serves on the, well, not anything about the commissioners. Which must be in here.
The last thing, which is the general election dates that there's a deadline, a filing candidacy deadline. It's August 5th. So. And the State Board of Elections says, the deadline to certify for the general is entirely the city's decision. It's not in state law.
Yeah.
So we have to.
Yeah, reaching the same conclusion
Yeah.
that we have, that does not leave much time for an independent candidate to participate in the program. Okay.
Should we, I'm sorry,
No good.
should that be the case? Should it be that side of the deadline for individual candidate to try to get into the program this August date?
Well, I think if they had up until 45 days before which I think is the 5th, right? Is that,
I think
No,
that's
it's-
previously was-
that's 60, no, that's 60 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be, yeah, sometime in mid September,
Mhm.
right? So and that's a deadline. So anybody who want to participate in just thinking ahead, if we were to make a recommendation using the 45-day limit, that means they could qualify whenever, they can certainly submit all the paperwork at any time from the day after the swearing in, the new campaign cycle starts.
So Sam, there was some question, you were going back to the the local board to ask about, for clarification. What was that?
I never got clear on what the question I was supposed to ask
Okay.
was. So I did not ask the question.
Okay, so it's probably this deadline of, you have to qualify, you have to say declare you're gonna run in the general election by August 5th. Was the question was that date movable? Was that the question we had?
No, the question, I think the question is just really on the qualification part, right? Not them qualifying to be on the ballot, but
Mhm.
qualifying to be in the program. And that's
Okay.
completely our discretion,
Okay,
right?
Yeah, I think
Clarify.
when I talked to our council about this informally, that was basically what he said, was that it's up to you guys.
okay.
Yeah.
Us
And then this
guys.
was, yes, that it is up to the fair election fund. But this is, basically, this was not within jurisdiction of the board of elections.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I mean, it is very much, I mean, the question put to us is how can we make it more accessible for as many people as possible, including, obviously you get the two parties, but there are active third parties in the city.
Yeah.
And individuals, right? So,
I mean, it seems to me like if August 5th is the deadline to say that you declare that you want to be a candidate, that could also be the deadline for saying that you want to participate in the program. And then you could have until the 45 days, the middle, to qualify.
yeah.
So if you know,
So yeah, two deadlines, one to fill out the form expressing the interest, and then the other to by the time you have to have demonstrated viability, I guess is what we're saying.
so you have to be raising money. Well, either you're gonna have, so right, because you could qualify at
Yeah,
any
those are all
time after.
deadlines. You can do it anytime, right?
Correct.
Right, okay,
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's a rolling certification.
Yeah.
Right, we don't have like a,
okay,
yeah,
right.
so again, we're just saying no later than dates. So to your point though, it's just the notice of intent, just to clarify, we're suggesting for further discussion that notice of intent would be by the date of the declaring candidacy for the general,
Mhm.
and then the qualification for participation would have to be completed, submitted no later than 45 days before the election. Right, and obviously a candidate interested in making a run of it's gonna be a little bit more aggressive and
Right.
qualify, but that's good, okay. Good.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Do you have a camera on your computer?
I do, but it does not seem to be working for some
Oh,
reason.
okay. So I think that I think I need to use I believe that
There we go.
there is a Baltimore City Fair Election Fund Commission as specified in City Charter Article
Yeah,
1.
actually, I'm looking at.
Oh,
that
you have that, okay.
Right now, yeah, and I'm
Perfect.
just trying to get to the term of a member of the commission is, okay, here we
Which
go.
is, so I guess that is separate legislation then.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or that's in the
that's
charter, and this
actual-
is the
yeah,
legislation
exactly,
of the
exactly.
establishment and administration of the Fair Election Fund.
So it says for the members of the initial commission appointed by the president of the city council, 6 years beginning on May 1, 2019. So April 30, 2025, the members who were appointed by the council expire, or their terms expire.
No matter when they actually joined.
Right, yeah, it's just about the expiration. For all other members of the initial commission, 4 years beginning on May 1, 2019.
Wait, so
Somebody at the clock.
the mayor, what was it again?
So
So mayoral appointees are
So
6 years?
it just says all other members. So the council appointed is basically April 2025. For all others, it's for all members appointed to the full term. See, okay, so all members appointed to a full term after May 1/19. It's 4 years from expiration of their predecessor's appointment. That may require some clarification.
Council is in city council?
Yeah.
As
So
the
the
city
city
council
council, the city council president was supposed to nominate 5.
Five. They
And the
had-
mayor, 6. The mayor still has 3. So that means the mayor of all of us, the mayor appointed 3 and the city council appointed 5.
Who's who?
So I would imagine that the first 3 were the mayors.
Yeah, I see it, because I mean, and if you look on
That
some
would
of the,
You.
if you look on the website.
Sam, you,
think.
Oh, you- I thought you
I
would say
have a council district next
Yeah.
to my name, so I was,
We all do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do.
okay.
But I think
Oh, no, because I am a mayoral.
you're a mayoral appointee. Okay,
I thought I was too.
yeah.
Well, I gotta go, sorry.
So, well, it's like,
But.
well, theoretically, we're not
We
even
changed the
here.
Start date because in 19, there was no movement. It was.
There was
a
no-
sign.
Whether
Right,
anybody,
19.
Can you link that in here? And I'm gonna print whatever that,
Yeah.
unless is that, are you looking at the city charter?
no, I have a PDF.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's something that we need clarification on as well. I'm sure that Tracy, you want to know whether you're up on next April or whether you got 5 more years.
Of
Right.
fun.
I thought that it was a mayoral appointee. And actually, like my council manager district changed, so I'm not in 11 anymore, I'm in 7. So, I don't know, because of redistricting in my district, so I don't know how that affects anything.
Yeah.
I don't understand the council district involvement because there's not 14.
No, I think it was just to make sure that there wasn't, that that it's representative.
I did just add it in the chat.
In the chat. Can you
Put the link.
email me the document that you're looking at?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna print a couple copies. Or email us all, I guess.
No, it's, reply all to.
Okay.
Very confusing.
So the next thing is the, the next thing is the guidelines, ethics guidelines. Are we at ethics guidelines now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
And can I email the the 2 sheets that you emailed to me? Can I put them?
Yes.
Okay.
you guys should still have access to, or have a copy of the draft of the code of conduct. This is your part? This your part, Nadine, that you're supposed to be talking about?
This is your draft, I think.
It's my draft, but I'm like, I don't want to step on people's
Oh,
toes.
no, that's fun.
Or is it John, or is this still the co-chair's report?
No, this is a separate
Or
item.
anybody, I thought maybe the draft of the code, I mean, the language. I know, in several prior meetings, I
Yeah.
think we loosely, talked about what we wanted the commission to look like, how we wanted to address, disclosures, contributions. We all went away and then came back with, some research. And then Charlie was kind enough to draft, based on some best practices, a footprint that we could start from. And that's what we have in front of us now. And hopefully you can see it or either Paris.
I
or
just
email.
emailed it out.
Okay. Oh,
Any voting?
any voting? So yeah, if we can vote on this. No, because we lost Anwar. 1, 2,
Oh, you can still be on the
3,
phone.
4, 5, 6. Oh, we still have, okay,
But he can, if he's on the phone, can he vote?
yeah.
So we're good.
4
Yeah.
5, 6. There's 6, there's 6.
Oh, and there's 6 of us. Oh, this is the charter that you emailed. I'm not going to.
Okay, so the 2 things that we need to vote on, are, well, I think there's a couple things that we need to, because we're getting to the time. Is the next meeting, the proposed schedule was that for us to come back in September. And are we all still good with coming back in September? I propose, should we vote on it? Is there a move? Is there a motion that that we reconvene in September?
So moved.
The only, and also I think if I wasn't me, somebody else, one of the other commission members suggested maybe discussing the time start.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we were thinking of pushing it back. Sam, you had mentioned,
Or
was
if
it
it's,
6 o'clock start or 6:30?
I think Sam also talked about changing the day. So,
Yeah, Wednesday, yeah. I mean, evenings are just hard with kids. Um, but yeah, Wednesday is particularly,
Yeah, I mean.
as you can hear above me.
Should we move to decide that we will meet in September and then
Date-
over
date time.
date and time be determined?
yeah,
So I guess really, I withdraw my motion. I move that we have, or that our next meeting be in September, that July and August will be non-meeting months. And that in the interim, we'll distribute a poll for scheduling.
mhm.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Like,
Poll to be sent out.
Yeah.
Okay. There is this code of conduct, which you all have in front of you. If we have a few minutes to discuss, I'd like to take a vote, or let me ask this question. Although we are not meeting until September, are you all open to responding to documents or questions in the interim via email?
Nope. No.
I would explain to you if you said though.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm open to it.
Okay.
That would be good. Yes.
And I'm available to push.
There you go. Yes, you may need to push a little harder than usual. Some of us.
Okay. So then, is this something that we can vote on via email? As opposed to the code of conduct for you guys to take a look? We'll send out a voting poll
Mhm.
and then, we'll give you a couple days to make any additional changes or edits. And then we can circulate a final copy by this time next week. And then we'll ask for your vote by the end of next week. So we can adopt. We don't have to post this to give public comment. We could just post it after we adopt it.
Yes.
Okay.
Question,
Yes.
bullet 2, the code of conduct,
Mhm.
is that something that we will probably do during non-election season?
So I think non-election season, yes. Yep. We're supposed to be promoting the program and educating people about the program. As part of our.
Responsibility.
Mhm. The other, the last thing that is on our calendar is, about these regulations. And, and that is getting a process and timeline to work on some of the regulations. What?
I'm sorry. I'm on.
Yep.
Under the electioneering section.
Yep.
I understand we can't be employed by campaigns, et cetera, et cetera. Do we need to add a statement or clarification on whether commission members can have literature of a candidate in their yard?
That is a free speech issue. And so
Yeah.
it may be worth
Mentioning?
Okay.
mentioning that it's allowed,
Right.
Okay.
but I would agree because there have been many different kinds of attempts to modify, to restrict signage, and the Supreme Court has been very clear that you cannot do that.
Well, I'm just thinking about, just the optics.
Yeah, it's a personal, I think it would be a personal choice. And, in full disclosure, I have signs in my yard. So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like,
Yeah.
someone who's not really as well read up on what the commission does, if they find out that you're a commission that's supposed to give out
Sure.
Medicaid and they see you advertising for
Yeah.
a particular, it may come off.
Mhm.
But I just want to make sure.
No, no,
just
it's
to avoid an abundance of confusion,
Yeah,
make sure it's like clear where everybody can see it, like, look, even though you are a commissioner, you still have free speech to
Yeah.
advocate for a candidate, you just can't be employed by them.
okay. So we need to clarify volunteer.
Mhm.
If you already have someone hinting to the fact that the commission may not like them as a candidate,
Mhm.
and how do we know that, how does he know that we're giving them their fair shake and
Sure.
applying to the commission? So just
We
saying,
approved,
lessons
we
learned.
approved his, I think that was a threat to make sure we approved his.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, to avoid all the games.
No, I agree.
No, it's a very,
Make
it's a good point. I think the other part of this, and this is also just on these points, particularly on the electioneering. These are informed by legal counsel as well.
And when would, this would go into effect when we put it into effect?
Right.
Yeah.
As soon as we vote on it.
So, and I mean, take another look and see if we're missing anything.
I feel like there is going to be a lot of back and forth on some of these. Do we need to do it by next week? Could we extend that a bit later?
Yeah.
Just,
Because we won't vote again. Yeah, yes. We
Do you
can.
wanna-
so we can vote on it over email, but just for the back and forth of
Of-
having a final draft
Okay.
that we vote on, I think we should have at
Well,
least.
How about this, that we ask for initial comments no later than the end of next week, is that what you were
Mhm.
suggesting, right? And then redraft with the comments incorporated, send it out, and then put another, 3 or 5 day, business day
Okay.
limit on it. And I think maybe we all agree that our goal should really try and get this done by the end of the month, if feasible. I mean, if there are a couple of things that we have to go legal on, then
Mhm.
that might slow us down, but.
Yeah, do we need to send this to Hillary to review before we?
I think we may want to.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, so if we could get comments by the end of next week, which I think is the 28th, is next week, the 28th?
No.
No,
yeah,
it's the
following.
21st.
Yeah.
21st, okay, I miss you, oh, thank God.
I know.
I was like, oh, God, June is gone.
And is that, this may sound silly, and that is, it may be worth making a statement as well about, if a commission member chooses to run for office, they must resign
Okay.
from the commission.
Okay,
There's no common sense isn't no common, so.
This is why you gotta put it in writing, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not written down, no, you're an engineer, right? So, it's,
okay.
Believe it or not, we write a lot.
yeah, you do.
Wasn't a part of the job description.
Yeah.
But it's not it.
Great,
Um,
okay, cool.
okay, so yeah, so I think the last part is about the regulations, and we have a whole list of them. Is there somebody who wants to volunteer to work on regulations over the summer?
I'll be part of the panel because I need to know.
Yeah, I mean, I would like, I don't know that I can lead it, as I also doing lots of course development and other writing.
Define regulation.
Yeah, what are we?
So, we, like, the law is vague, right? But we get to fill in between the lines to say this is how, and actually, we're tasked with this.
Yes.
We were supposed to, back in May of 2019, develop regulations that actually say how the program works. So we can fill in a lot of the blanks that aren't there. So we, like the date of qualifying for the general election. Yep. So that's some of the things that,
This is like a schematic. I mean, we have the framework. We need the wiring. And some of the, wiring is done roughly. And we have to rewire it.
What is constructive withdrawal?
yes.
Because we were advised one way
Right.
from law and our interpretation was.
Us non-lawyers.
So, yeah, so how do we clarify basically how we're gonna work? So I got,
Sure, I don't mind.
Great.
okay. Yay.
I feel like it's much
It's not gonna be a ton of the work.
less legal and lawyer jargon we can include people like myself.
Yeah, what's the beautiful thing is we'll write it in English. We'll give it to the legislators and they will mess it up. I mean, they will, I didn't say that. They will turn it into the appropriate language, legislative language. There are
Turn
legislative.
it into
libraries.
gobbledygook.
They'll
They'll
turn it-
translate
Turn
it.
it into the language of the law. So,
Okay.
great. And so these are some, these are some recommendations.
Spoken about previously.
Yeah.
that we needed to address. There
Yeah.
could be some that I missed.
There's some that I remember, like allowing, there was one I remember that was about getting, the candidate can loan himself money, but it didn't say anything about the spouse loaning money.
That's right. Yeah, the
so-
family, who can loan.
Yeah, what is family, like a definition of some of those things. So I think we're gonna get into some of the weeds, and yes, we need a systems engineer to help us. So
I
Technically, I'm
know
not an engineer anymore. Also,
once an
to
engineer,
the dark side, I'm managing that.
No,
once an engineer, always an engineer. You can't help yourself.
yeah, so that, yeah, thank you for reminding me that. That was that's a particularly unfair gap.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That was all I had. Is that all that you, was there anything else that you had? Next meeting we got?
That we talked about that.
We're gonna get a translation
Yes.
of this meeting. Yes, thank you, Nadine, for pushing that forward.
Oh, yeah, that is, that's a nice update. I don't know if that was
Nope.
true or not. Our last meeting, the Department of Finance now has a director of communication. I will still be managing our website, so anything you need posted, like the forms, form requests, meeting requests, things of that nature. So any changes to the website, I will do. Public information requests
Okay.
will go directly, and I'll send you her information. The nice thing is, one of her first directives is to work on the translation of all documents, and I had to participate in the survey, which I completed. And so far, all of the documents that are important to us, our agendas, any public announcements, letter of intent, any substantive, say that for me.
Substantive.
Thank you. Letters important and correspondence to the Fair Fund. I sent her a copy of that I have up to date. I still have not gotten an answer on prior. You asked that eons ago. Still haven't gotten an answer to that, but whether we can look back.
But probably the only one that's really important is the information document, the slideshow.
Yeah,
I sent her that. She did agree that that was important.
Yeah.
And so we'll see where that goes. She is currently interviewing all of the agencies. I was included fortunately. And so
That's wonderful.
we're up and running on translations because the mayor's office never did re-up on their contract for translation services. So now we actually folded that into her position.
Okay.
excellent.
So that's
Question,
good.
because of my experience with the previous commission I worked on, how do you handle requests for comment or interview in regards to the reports or findings or whatever of the commission? Do we direct them to this director of communications? If someone wants to ask to come to a political podcast, will we say, no, you have to go see
Yes,
person?
I would say yes as the first stop.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah. And then they would reach out to us and
correct.
figure out how.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the
Cool.
last
I
couple
did
of.
notice the little press release you put, I had my name on it. I got all.
Yeah.
Well, that's because we didn't know, and we didn't know that we could do the
Yeah.
press.
No,
the
it's
press
just, which is
officer.
fine, they're only like 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah, they're, yeah. But everything we got after that,
Great,
that's it.
excellent, excellent.
Okay, so we did get, there were a lot, there were,
The Sun, I think Fox News, yeah, Fox News,
Banner.
banner for sure. Like some talks, I mean, I got one of the reporters, I won't say from which outlet, several calls, mostly educational calls.
Uh,
They were completely unfamiliar with the law and never heard of it. I don't believe that local politics was their.
Oh,
they were
okay.
sort of Thrust into it, so I had,
So was it Fox 45?
I'm gonna take the 40.
Following Following up on their favorite candidate.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think all the press coverage I thought was good relative to the information they put out about the
Mhm.
position and about the, so.
And John was very careful not to disclose anything that wasn't already public. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was good, yeah.
So thanks you, John.
No.
Good job.
Happy to hear that. Thank you.
Well, if there's no further business, is there any additional business? We lost Sam. No, he's still there.
He's just awfully pale.
If there's nothing else, then, is there a
Move to
motion?
adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
There's a second.
We are adjourned until September.
Excellent.
Thank you all.
It's the cannoli.
Yes.
Yeah, lots of, we'll have an extra one for you.
Tracy's like, I know what it's like parking in Hampton and no cannoli is worth it.
Guys,
Those are
knock
fun.
yourselves out. Oh, they're beautiful, but knock yourselves out.
They're little, they're bites.
Have a good summer. See you all soon.
Have a good summer, yeah. See you
Whatever.
next school year.
See you. Right. Take
Have a
care.
great summer.
Bye-bye.